Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the High Ticket Coaching and Consultant Strategy and Growth Show. Now, if you're watching this interview anywhere else but within our private Facebook community called High Ticket Client Attraction Insider Circle, then definitely come check us out. We'd definitely love to have you. Over the past few weeks, actually, our group has nearly surpassed 7,000 members in there. So again, if you're not a member, definitely come check us out. Now, today, I want to introduce you to one of the members of our community, Angie Day. Welcome, Angie.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. I'm very excited.
Awesome. You're welcome. So Angie, tell myself and the rest of the community, what is it that you do?
Sure. I'm a life and business coach. I help entrepreneurs achieve personal and professional success. And I do this by helping them learn to master the mental game of life and business.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Now, what got you started down this path?
Well, I have actually been self-coaching for about 12 years now. And I have a sort of a bounce back better story that I used the self-coaching technique to actually transform my life and to prevent my life from spiraling down a really, really negative path. That's what got me interested in life coaching to begin with. And I have been certified for about 4 years and helping clients do the same.
Yeah, awesome. So in terms of taking the leap wise, right? Because I know there's a lot of individuals, they have and a lot of even individuals within our community as well, too, they have an idea for wanting to, when they start the business, get started. And there's always a lag time. There's a lot of lag time actually, because most of them just don't have the confidence to say, well, that's just what I'm going to do. I'm going to go help individuals. Was that a struggle for you, or were you just able to just make that smooth transition?
I think I made a pretty smooth transition into entrepreneurship, into coaching. Like I said, coached myself for 12 years, and I had some massive success in that time. And then I also I used this philosophy that I developed, of thinking on purpose and mastering the mental game. I used that with my children. Together, my husband and I have raised 5 children, and they all have pretty amazing success stories of their own. When I realized, I call them my first clients, and they were also my proof of concept, if you will. And so I used that same strategy, and that I realized I was helping not just myself, but my family and my friends achieve massive success and massive change and transformation within their lives. And I decided to go ahead and start seeking that as kind of a full-time profession. It became an obsession for me, and that's really how it developed.
Yeah, awesome. And was that vision that you hold for the company, the business that you're building at the moment?
What is the vision that I hold? I'm sorry, we have a little bit of a bad connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the vision.
Yeah, so my goal, my mission is to help people understand how to master the mental game of life and business. And I'd like people to understand the power that is between our ears, right? This power that is thinking. To create anything, absolutely anything that you want to achieve in your life, personally and professionally. That's sort of my mission, and that's what I would love for your viewers to grasp during this conversation.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So why the mental side? Why the mental side?
Yeah, because, thinking, I realized for myself, I had a really kind of a tumultuous upbringing and life story. And a lot of people, I'm sure, share this. I hit rock bottom. It was about 2008. By that time, I had lost my mother, my 2 sisters to a rare neurological disease. And that really got me focused on the mind and the brain. But at the time, I was in such a bad place. I was also going through a very devastating divorce. And I had, this actually was all timed at the same time when our nation went through the Great Recession of 2000, 2008, and 2009. And so I lost my career in real estate that had taken me over a decade to build. So you talk about hitting rock bottom. I had lost family members, my marriage was over, and I had lost my career. And I realized at that moment that I had been focused on all the wrong things. I had been focused for so long, in fact, that I actually created this life that I was living in at the time by way of thinking. I was focused on loss, sadness and sickness for so long, and that really cultivated the life experience that I was having at that time. I quickly woke up, and it was an epiphany that I had one day. I was having one of those self-induced pity parties, party of one. And I was lying there watching, kind of the TV was on in the background, but I wasn't really watching. And this commercial came on, and it was this young boy. They were advertising services for disabled children to learn to act and play instruments and sing and this kind of thing. And this little boy, for some reason, he snapped me out of my coma and caught my attention. And he was so filled with joy and excitement about being a part of this program. Yet he was clearly disabled. He was in a wheelchair, and they were using subtitles because you could barely understand him. And I don't know, it shook me. It rocked me to my very core. And I thought, what am I doing laying here miserable and so focused on all that I have lost, everything that was negative in my life? And it changed for me in that instance. And I decided that I did have the power to think things differently. I could see my life differently, and I could transform it. And that's what I did. I developed a plan actually from that moment on, and decided I'm no longer going to live like I've lost so much in my life. I'm going to start living like a winner. I'm going to start acting as if I've already won. And everything changed. My entire life transformed from that moment. From that moment on, I very quickly went from broke, desperate, and all alone, and also raising 3 children by myself at the time, to creating and building a 6-figure income. I then met and married the man of my dreams, and together we blended our families to raise 5 children, and everything took off from there. I again got into coaching. I wrote a book. I started a podcast, and my life hasn't been the same.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. What's the name of your book?
It is, coincidentally, Unleash Your Inner Winner. I decided at that moment that I was going to start living more like a winner, and realizing that I had this amazing power of thought that could transform everything in my life. And I began thinking on purpose. I actually read a book at that time that changed everything for me. And I think back then there was a lot of talk about like The Secret and all of that, but instead I found this book called Thinking on Purpose by Dr. Richard Bandler. And it was like, you have the power to stop thinking a certain way and start thinking more positive, more creative thoughts that will help propel your life in a whole different direction. And that's exactly what happened for me.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Now, and what about your podcast? What's the name of your podcast?
Yep. Same title, Unleash Your Inner Winner podcast.
Yeah. Good. Awesome. Love it. So in essence, what's one skill you'd say you've really practiced that's helped you get to your level of success today?
Yeah, so it started initially with emotional intelligence. I really started understanding how we could, grab hold of our emotions, transform them, and that then would help us start thinking differently. What I realized very early on when I started this life transformation was that the game of life it's a complicated one. And most of us weren't taught the cognitive skills needed to not just be in the game, but to perform well in areas of life, relationships, and business. And most of us weren't taught the skills necessary for achieving happiness, right? Or good health or wealth for that matter. So we weren't encouraged growing up to use, our God-given talents, or how to bounce back from failure, or how to build self-confidence and determination. And see, all of this takes very specific thought process, and it takes conscious strategic thinking and to navigate all of those life circumstances. It takes mastering the art of thinking on purpose. And so, the problem with the upbringing for most of us was that we were taught the skill of remembering, not thinking, but remembering, right? So you think about your parents. They taught you how to remember, like the sky is blue, this is a dog, this is a cat, right? And then we go to school and they teach us 1 + 1 = 2. And they teach us science and history. And we are then graded, we're given tests and we're graded on that memory, how we could memorize what they taught us. And the same is true when you get into the workforce, right? They teach you how to do the job based on what the owner thinks is best for their business. And they pay you based on your ability to remember and do a job well, right? So we're just not taught the art of critical thinking or creative thinking for that matter. And you need that when you're an entrepreneur. You absolutely do. Basically everything we've ever been taught about how to remember or how to perform in the job or in, education was set up to teach us how to remember, but not teach us how to think outside that box, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is, entrepreneurship is all about thinking outside the box and not following someone else's lead, but instead creating your own path and your own way of doing things.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And who'd you say is an ideal client for you?
I'd say it's anyone interested in entrepreneurship, obviously, and predominantly my clients now are those just starting out, wanting to build that confidence so that they can create success for themselves, understanding how to balance work, life, business, relationships, all of that, and how to navigate that. Also, how to get outside of that memory thinking and how to start thinking strategically so that they can achieve their goals and their dreams.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So if you had to summarize your entire life, everything you've been through in one sentence, what would that one sentence be?
My entire life, summarize it. Yes. I'd say it was thinking has helped me bounce back better, smarter, wiser, stronger.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Love it. Now let's say, I guess the next question becomes in terms of because I guess with success, it's one of those places where everyone is kind of looking for it, right? Do you believe that there's one core secret to success, or do you believe like it's a bunch of habits that stack on top of each other? What's your perspective on this?
Yeah, the latter. I think that success is how anyone defines it. If you look at all of the successful people in the world, they've all created success in so many different ways. There isn't a secret sauce. There is no one way. I think that we all have this special magical ability within us to create something unique and wonderful in this world. So I think it is a series of habits, like you said. I think that it is it's really a work ethic. It is the ability to process and think critically. I'll always say that because that transformed my world. And I think it's the ability to navigate our emotions. And that's really key for people because I think a lot of people are held back based on their emotions and their assumptions and their core beliefs that they hold, known as limiting beliefs. I think if you're able to overcome and override and replace those things with good, healthy thoughts, habits, I think anyone can create success.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Now, what about with entrepreneurs? Are there any big mistakes you see that most of them make that prevents them from really getting the results that they want?
I do. I think that going about entrepreneurship in the same way that you'd go about it as being an employee, basically expecting someone to tell you what to do and when to do it, and when there isn't anyone managing you, you procrastinate and you lose focus. I think that self-discipline is key for anyone, and going into this, you have to really put a lot of effort into self-discipline and minding your habits, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's so true as well too, because it's one of those places where the 9-to-5 role, it's great, but as you said, the entrepreneurship is like, hey, you're responsible for all of the results, and you have to figure out all of it out. There's no one coming to save us, right? It's all about, hey, you have to make this decision, the best decision for where you are. Okay, good.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, good. So what about what besides business, what do you get into? What are you doing for fun these days? Are you a traveler? What do you do?
Yeah, right. So, I mean, I'd love to travel right now, and I do travel quite a bit for business. My kids I have 2 professional baseball players in the family, so we do travel quite a bit for their games. And all of them have played sport throughout college. And so we did a lot of travel for that. And so these days, actually my son just made his major league debut this weekend with the Chicago White Sox. So we had to watch that on TV rather than actually being in Chicago, which was kind of a bummer, but that's what we do. We're a sports family. Definitely love watching games and being able to travel, see the world.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Professional baseball players. That is awesome. Love
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. We're
Yeah.
very proud.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Okay, good. Now, let's see here. So with let me see. The question I like to ask as far as books, right? So are you into reading a lot, podcasts, attend events? How do you get your new updated information?
Yeah, I do. I love podcasts. So I listen to a lot of different podcasts on entrepreneurship and various topics, but I'm also an avid reader. I think that one of the best habits that a person can have is reading, finding time for reading. I subscribe to the old adage, if you want to be better, you have to become better. And the only way to do that is to educate. And a lot of that is self-education that we can get through books and through reading. So I make it a habit to read absolutely every day. I read hundreds of books a year. And also, I think prayer and meditation as part of my daily routine. I need it. I start the day in prayer and meditation and often end the day. But in midday, some days you need to take time out for some meditation in there as well. It gives me focus time to really clear my mind and to connect with my higher power and also with my inner genius, to really connect and ground myself. And then I think the last thing is trying to proactively stay in a place of joy and positivity. There's so much going on in the world and in our lives just on a daily basis that it's really easy to get focused on all the wrong things, like I was so many years ago. But I try to stay focused on all that's joyful and wonderful. And that has helped me keep my head above the rising tides and everything that's going on in the world.
Mm-hmm. Love it. And what about with the books wise? Do you have any that stand out to you that you'd say they've really made, granted, all of them most likely did have some type of impact, but are there any few that stand out to you?
Yeah, there's a couple. Number one is that Thinking on Purpose by Richard Bandler. That's a really easy read. It's also, I think he has like a 15-day kind of transform your life type thing. That's a good one. Also Thinking Fast and Slow. That's another one. And then Wealth Warrior. This is a really good book for overcoming limited money mindset. So those are kind of the three off the top of my head. I'd say go get them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what about big insights, right? So as we go through as entrepreneurs, we get these big insights like, man, like, why didn't I learn this like 5 or 10 years ago or whatever, right? So have you, and I know we have these all the time. Have you had any of those insights recently that you could share?
Any new insights into, like, you mean what's helped with entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
Well, definitely one thing I wish I had 12 years ago, and this isn't a selfish plug, but it is getting a mentor or a coach. And you don't necessarily have to pay for this, right? I do have a coaching program, and I do help my clients focus on all the things that we've talked about today: thinking, gaining clarity, adjusting your beliefs, and taking specific strategic action. But you don't have to pay for it. Just look for someone who's 5 steps ahead of you and what you want to accomplish in your life. That's what I did way back when, right? I was at rock bottom. I had no money, but I looked around and I had to look outside of my inner circle to do this. So my advice is look outside of your inner circle, because typically we hang around the people who are going in the same direction with us, right? The old adage, misery kind of loves company. I'd say definitely look outside of your inner circle. You can love them, but if you're trying to achieve success, you must look outside of it and look for someone who's achieved what you want to achieve, or at least they're that much closer to it, and see if you can glean from them anything you can.
Yeah, love it. Now, Angie, if someone wanted to learn more and reach out to you, what's the best way for them to be able to connect?
Thank you. They can go right to my website at angieday.com. It's very simple, ANGIEDAY.com, and everything is there. There's links to my podcast, to my book, to my coaching programs. It's all there.
Awesome. Love it, Angie. Well, hey, thank you so much for making the time to be here today and share what you do with the community. I really appreciate it. Do you have any final thoughts before we end?
Well, I want to thank you, Extus, for what you're doing. I think it's amazing. This platform is so beneficial, not just to those of us who are, speaking on our business, but also to helping others. I've watched so many of your videos and I've gleaned so much from them. So I thank you for that. And just in parting, I'd say that I'd like everyone to embrace the idea that success is not something that we pursue. It's something that we attract by the person that we become. And I believe Jim Rome said that the best, but yeah, that's my advice.
Awesome. Lovely, Angie. Well, hey, thank you again so much, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.